Hey guys, how's everybody doing? I'm trying to stay busy, I'm sure, like I am, and hope everybody's doing well. Well, I just want to get back into things and talk to you about our topic that we're currently on, the Great Depression and the New Deal. I'd like everybody to notice that on Schoology, I sent a note, just like I would send an assignment, about the activities that we're going to be doing to finish off the Great Depression and the New Deal. So please go ahead and take a look at that. So the last time that you guys were busy with the Great Depression and New Deal, you were working on your two New Deal charts. Hopefully, everybody, if you've done them, you've seen my comments that I've emailed back to you, and you've corrected them. So today is going to be the first of three videos that just goes over the basics of all of the New Deal laws and programs. Every now and then I'll be referring to my notes or taking a look at the book just to make sure I don't forget anything. So, looking at these laws and programs, the whole goal of Franklin Roosevelt and the government was to make the Depression less economically depressing and less mentally depressing too. So today we'll talk about the New Deal. Now remember, the New Deal was a list of all the laws and the programs that Franklin Roosevelt and Congress made to try to improve the situation. We looked at 18 altogether, and I've divided those up into certain categories, and I've sent you a list of those categories also on Schoology. But today we're going to take a look at the problem of unemployment. We know that the New Deal created massive unemployment and lower wages, so money and spending was a pretty big topic. So today, looking at the New Deal. Well, when Franklin Roosevelt and Congress made the New Deal, they decided to organize it into three categories: relief actions, recovery actions, and reform actions. So the relief actions are the first ones that I'll mention. Those were programs that were designed to help people right now, get immediate help to the people, especially for those who were the most struggling. So some of the programs I talk about today, the jobs programs, would definitely have been relief programs, like the Civilian Conservation Corps and the Civil Works Administration. I mean, people needed to get back to work as soon as they could. They needed money in their hands so they could start spending. So some of the programs of the 18 are in the relief category. The next category they made were called recovery actions. Well, recovery, just like the word means, is to kind of get back on your feet again, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back to somewhat how things were. So recovery programs would be programs designed to fix entire portions of the United States, like the Tennessee Valley area, which was an entire area that was really, really poor and hit hard. They wanted to recover that area. The whole agricultural industry needed to be fixed, so the Agricultural Adjustment Act was a recovery program. And even the National Industrial Recovery Act that would get businesses open again, that falls into the category of recovery. The final category of laws and programs would be called reform. Now, when you reform something, you're trying to fix it up so you won't have troubles anymore. So reform programs were designed to fix some of the problems of the Depression so we would never have another Great Depression again. And by and large, these have worked and they are still with us today. So programs like the Social Security Act, their reform, that's a reform program. The Glass-Steagall Banking Act is definitely a reform one. Now, the Securities Act reformed the stock market. So those are some examples of reform programs. So today, though, we're going to take a look at the employment programs. So first, we'll just kind of go in order that you guys did them on your charts, and we'll start with the Civilian Conservation Corps. Now, you guys remember that was for unemployed men ages 18 to 25. These guys were ones who were tabbed to work in the CCC because it was outdoor physical labor work. So these guys would get jobs planting trees, creating fire breaks, building dams to stop soil erosion. So not only was the CCC a jobs program, it was a program that was going to help pick up the environment, help with soil erosion, and even men who were in this program, while they were doing the work, they were also living in camps outside, and in the camps they could learn job skills and education. They could get their high school diplomas. While they lived and worked in the CCC, they ate fairly well, and they even gained weight in this program. So that's the Civilian Conservation Corps. Within the first few months after Roosevelt created it, 300,000 young guys were working. And by the time the program was finished, around 1941, because World War I, we had to gear up for that, about 2.5 million men worked in the CCC. I found a couple interesting facts about the CCC. One was they planted over 3 billion trees during the life of the program, and the guys who worked got paid $30 every month. Of that $30, they had to send back home anywhere between $22 and $25 for their struggling families. All right, the next jobs program is the Civil Works Administration. Now, this was a program that started in 1933, and eventually it employed 4 million unemployed people. The jobs that they did were mostly local jobs in your town or in your county, where they would build roads or fix roads. They would clean up neighborhoods. They built schools, local type construction projects. The guys who were in this program definitely benefited from the money that they had been receiving, but it was a program that was not designed to last forever. As a matter of fact, in 1934, about a year after it was created, they canceled the program and they were ready to move on to something else. The next program is the Public Works Administration. Now, the Public Works Administration was another construction type program, kind of like the Civil Works Administration, but with one big difference. While the Civil Works Administration was designed for more short-term local projects, like I said, roads, sidewalks, building schools, or kind of cleaning up and sprucing up your neighborhoods, the Public Works Administration was designed for long-term construction projects. These projects would be ones where men would be employed for months, in some cases even a few years, where that paycheck was coming in. It would be a constant paycheck, and they could continue to send that money back home, and then they continue to spend the money that they made as well. So in the PWA, they did projects like creating highways. Now, I don't mean like Interstate 75 or Interstate 70, but highways like U.S. Route 36, U.S. Route 68, highways that would maybe cover an entire state. Now, building a highway that went that many miles would take a long time to build. They built dams. The Hoover Dam was built with this program. They made hydroelectric plants. So the Public Works Administration was long-term, big-time construction projects where guys were employed for months and months, in some cases even a few years. Now, I did find something interesting out about the Public Works Administration, is that this agency did not hire directly unemployed people. What they did was they contracted in states with construction companies, and then the construction companies hired the unemployed men to do the work. Next is the program, the Tennessee Valley Act. Now, the Tennessee Valley area, about a 7-state area touched by the Tennessee River, so Tennessee and Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, a little bit of Georgia, part of Virginia, North Carolina. This was one of the poorest regions in the United States. It was an agricultural region, and the region suffered from deforestation. It suffered from frequent flooding. The soil was very, very infertile. So you can imagine that farmers in the Tennessee Valley area really had it tough. And as a result, then businesses often moved away or failed in this region. So the government created the Tennessee Valley Act to boost the region, the entire region. And in this program, men were hired to plant trees. Men were hired to build hydroelectric dams. Farmers were taught soil conservation practices. It was a program that really boosted that part of the United States. And as a matter of fact, it still is around today. The Tennessee Valley Act still provides electricity, which was one of the big things it did, besides jobs, provides electricity for those people living in that region. The last program I want to talk about as far as jobs go turned out to be the biggest one, and that's the Works Progress Administration. Now, this started in 1935, and you can see some similarities between it and the Civil Works Administration that had been canceled the year earlier in 1934. Well, the WPA was a program to hire people to do a lot of local construction jobs in their town or in their county. Again, building roads and bridges, constructing parks, sidewalks, sewers, and schools, those sorts of things. And they created thousands and thousands of projects. But the one thing special about the WPA is that this is the social critic program. So, as part of the WPA, artists and scholars, writers, musicians, photographers were hired to do the things that they could do. Now, they didn't hire a writer to build bridges or build roads, they hired writers to write. So, writers researched local histories, what was happening to that town or that county during the New Deal. Photographers went around and took pictures of the face of the Great Depression. Artists painted murals on side of public buildings. It was really a program to help the people who hadn't gotten jobs in other programs before. The WPA also hired women quite a bit. Women would do secretarial work in the WPA. And there was even a program in the WPA that was a sewing program. It hired women to sew in the WPA. So the WPA was a jobs program like the rest. It was the most expensive program. Roughly $11 billion was sent from the government to the WPA to hire people to do these projects. Also, by the time the WPA was over, 1 out of every 10 Americans had a job working in the WPA. So that's basically the end of the first video. But the first video is all about New Deal programs and laws that create jobs for people, being as though unemployment was a major problem and the lack of spending created even more problems. This was an area that Franklin Roosevelt and Congress really attacked to try to make America a much less depressing, economically less depressing, and mentally less depressing place as well. That's all I have for you right now, and talk to you soon. Goodbye.